Engage Vernon.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win because we have.
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the CommLink Podcast. I'm Stubb, and as always, I'm joined by the one, the only, Silvius.
That one was different.
How's it going, man?
That was a little creepy. It's going good.
Should have saved that for when we were closer to Halloween.
Hey, there's always next time.
Yeah, we'll bring it back. I'll make a note of it right now. But yeah, everybody, thanks for joining us. This is the CommLink Podcast, episode 27, where we discuss things Star Citizen and Squadron 42. We've got a few things on the docket for this time around. Do we want to head straight into the big update news?
Yeah, we can kind of give a rundown of what's going on as of recording here today.
Yeah, so essentially, you know, we got 323, and then we got 323.1, and 323.2 was next up. 323.2, however, has now been redesignated as Alpha 324. And so they put up a Spectrum post on this. So this is from CIG. Just very quickly, I'll run through it. It says, "Hi everyone, with Alpha 323.1 out the door, our team has shifted focus to closing out what we had previously called Alpha 323.2. During initial testing of the upcoming patch, we've determined that its substantial updates justify labeling it as version 324. This change in version number doesn't indicate any changes to the patch itself or any future patches. Rather, it aligns with what we consider to be a major update. We're excited for you to experience additions such as freight elevators, storage access, previously known as item banks, personal and instance hangars, new cargo hauling missions, and more, all of which aim to make a lasting impact on the verse. You'll soon see the updated version number in the launcher as we release Evocati/PTU builds and corresponding feedback threads. Additionally, this adjustment will be reflected on the roadmap, which will be updated next week. Keep a close eye on Spectrum for updates soon, and we'll see you in game." So 323 has sort of split, like the initial 323 update before it went live, but what all it was supposed to be before things got pushed back. I guess was so massive it had to be two patches, two major updates.
Yeah, it seems like the cargo changes that they're bringing in are going to change a lot of how we just interact with cargo and inventory and everything in the verse.
Right.
I guess it's a pretty big update, so I can understand changing it to 324, but I don't think them changing the numbers means anything as far as when Pyro or 4.0 was coming out. So
no, it's marketing, right?
Yeah, nobody panic. It's fine. It's just a marketing thing. They feel like it's a big enough patch to have its own number, so they changed the number. I think that's all there is to it.
You don't think we're going to get a 325 and then a 326 and a 327 so on, and then we get Pyro in 2 years?
I don't think so. I think we'll get 324 and then we'll have 324 until Pyro is ready, whether that be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, who knows? But I think it's going to be all on server meshing testing and Pyro testing after 324.
And speaking of the server mesh testing, they just did a couple tech previews for server meshing this week, or this past week, I guess. Forgetting what day it is now. We're recording on a Monday, so yeah, it was last week.
Yeah, they did it kind of Thursday and Friday, I think, but the first test didn't go great at all, and then the second one seemed a lot better, but hopefully they're getting some good information from all that, and hopefully we see another Pyro playtest soon.
I was just going to say, I hope that them doing sort of those two server mesh tests back to back like that indicates that Pyro will get a little bit of tech preview love again here soon, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was open to everybody, so hopefully the next Pyro preview is open to all, if not most, backers.
Do you think the next time they do a Pyro tech preview, do you think that comes with server meshing in that tech preview as well? Or do you think it's still like sort of walled off on its own and there's no connection between Pyro and Stanton?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I could see them testing the like single system that we have now with multiple shards on it, kind of like they're doing, but in Pyro.
Yeah.
Kind of see how they're going to break it up. And then maybe after that, one with them both together. I don't know.
I guess at that point, if they were to do it where you had access to Pyro and then it was server mesh together with Stanton, at that point, that's a 4.0 tech preview.
Yeah, I think they would call that
in totality.
4.0 Evocati or whatever.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll get another Pyro tech preview before too long. I don't know. We've been waiting, 6 months since the last one? Something like that.
I just can't see us getting like Pyro and Stanton connected, plus all the features coming in 4.0 without them saying, okay, this is Evocati now.
Right. No, I'm there with you. But anyway, so we'll have more to say, I'm sure, on 324 as it gets closer. My understanding is that as of the time of this recording, they're hoping to get an Evocati build out tomorrow. I think it was the most recent thing I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, it's been that way for like a week and a half now. So if we get Evocati by the end of the week, I will be happy.
Yeah. But yeah, so stay tuned on more 324 details. We played some Star Citizen. Segueing into our next topic, we checked out the current iteration of Xenothreat on the live servers. I think they're going to run that until tomorrow, the 25th. I think June 25th is when it's over. Yeah,
we did play some Star Citizen other than just talking about it. So, believe it or not.
Yeah, we were on a fairly small server. I think there were only like 20 or 30 players on the server, something like that. But a fair number of them were participating in the event. We were on your Corsair, which was a pretty good time, other than we lost a wing at one point.
Which, so I had the Corsair in my store, in my pledges, and then I ended up melting it back for the Redeemer, and then I've upgraded my Redeemers of the Galaxy since then. But anyway, I got rid of it because when it first came out, basically anytime you took it into combat, one or two missiles hit you and one of your engines is shot and you lose all control. It was just, unusable at that point for combat. But we lost a whole wing. I don't think any of the engines got damaged, but I could still bring it into the station relatively easily. So I feel like the Corsair is in a way better spot than it was when it came out.
Yeah, it was fun being on board that thing, and it was taking some hits. There were plenty of moments where you were parked right outside of one of the salvage sites, right? And I was inside getting cargo, and you were manning one of the turrets and sort of helped to fend the enemy NPCs off. And I think during one of our runs, the sort of middle part of the ship got pretty red, but I guess we'll go ahead and talk about how it ended. The only time we blew up was due to what I'm guessing was a desync issue. I think we desync crashed into the station.
Yeah. You can see
nice amount of cargo on board to boot.
You can see the clip on your Twitter page, I believe.
Yeah. It's up on at the THA Real Stubb on Twitter.
Yeah, it was like, so we came back from gathering the Diluthermex or whatever we had, and we jumped back to the Pyro jump station, looking at Jericho, and my game hitched for a second. I thought it was fine. I kept flying, but we were on our screens nowhere near the station. And then we just blew up. Like no soft death, no missile warning, nothing. We just blew up. And then we went back out in the Cutlass Red trying to retrieve our bodies, and the Corsair we were in was inside of Jericho Station. So the server thought we hit the station for some reason, when on our screen we were, over a kilometer, maybe 2 kilometers away. So yeah, I think it was server desync, but what are you going to do about that? So
at that point though, we were about 3 hours in.
Yeah.
Overall, talking about server performance, I was sort of pleasantly surprised by the server performance. Like, it wasn't fantastic, but for a Xenothreat event, it was feeling pretty good.
I think the fact that we only had maybe a dozen people there participating, maybe a little more, at times helped a lot, because, from streamers and stuff I've watched play it, anytime you get over like 15, 20 people together, it just becomes really laggy and framey, and between all the people and the NPCs, it's hard for the game to keep up, I think. But yeah, I think, compared to last time I played it, it was performing really well. But yeah, like I said, I think it was just because we had so few people doing it, was why it was performing well. So, it was fun and performed better than I thought it would. And we didn't get to check out the battle phase.
No, I am kind of bummed about that. Especially, think about boarding an Idris during that battle phase. It's sort of an extra bummer because the AI on the server that we were on was feeling so good. Like, they were nice and awake and responsive. So to actually be able to board an Idris and expect some resistance would have been really cool. But we just didn't quite make it there. So
yeah, after 3 hours of us being one of the few people running cargo, and then we lose like a huge load of cargo plus all of our gear we had equipped, and we didn't have any backup gear. And at that point, we were like, all right, play session's over today. But
the only thing that I've found floating out in space, if I remember correctly, was one of my used, I forget the brand of the energy drink in game, but it was a used energy can that I had left on the cargo floor.
Yeah, that's how we identified the wreckage as ours.
Yeah. But that's okay. Fun was still had. It didn't end quite the way that I think either of us was hoping, but again, at the same time, it was a good time.
I'm curious. I wish they would have. I'm sure they're thinking about it, but I wish we could see how Xenothreat would run on a server with meshing working, because those people that were reporting bad frames and stuff, especially during the battle phase that we didn't get to do. I wonder if the server meshing would help that at all, or if it's just an issue of the server trying to calculate so many things happening in one space. Which, if that's the case, I don't think meshing will really solve a lot of that.
Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully we'll be able to see by the end of this year what Xenothreat feels like with server meshing.
Yeah, that would be, 4.0 drops, then they do like a Xenothreat, and then I'm sure they don't have the mission this far done yet, but if you had to like push them back into Pyro and then do like a battle phase in Pyro or something, that would be really cool.
Yeah. That would be so awesome. And also like just some of the other events too, like especially Siege of Orison. I so badly still want to do Siege on a really good server.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where the mission's progressing properly, where it's not feeling like playing a slideshow, but to actually get the full effect of Siege of Orison would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Someday.
I know CIG wants to stay away from instancing and that sort of thing as much as possible, but and just imagine Siege of Orison, but on a Arena Commander module, where you could take in 50 to 100 people on your org and just do it with just you guys, because it's a very PvE oriented event where you can have people that try and play the Ninetales side, but not really. It's I mean, it's so like linear, I guess, and hard for somebody to, I guess, sabotage it. I mean, you can, but it would be very hard. So yeah, I would like to see it in a Arena Commander module or some instancing where you can do it outside of the PU and actually get to experience it like they want it to be.
I would be so down for that. Also, like, you can't really just fly to Siege of Orison anyway, right? You gotta kind of taxi over there.
Yeah, you have to, if you fly over there, you just get impounded. Your ship just gets impounded and you get a crime set, I think.
Yeah, just instance it off CIG. Who cares? Wait until server meshing and then take it out of the instance, I guess, if all that stuff's working right. But
yeah,
I just want to play Siege and it, run well.
Yeah. I mean, they could have, who knows what's happened with Theaters of War at this point, but it could have been sort of like a Theaters of War module, but who knows what they're going to do with that eventually.
Right. Well, speaking of events, so a couple episodes back, we had a couple of the guys from the For Science org on. We had Bonds and we had Urs. And when we did the podcast with them, that was in reference to the charity events that they ran, the Combat for a Cause. But they continue to do events on a pretty regular basis, but they're like smaller private events within For Science, and we got to participate in a Capture the Flag event over the weekend. This was on Saturday night. And with this, did you do Combat for a Cause?
No, I watched it.
That's right. So this was your first For Science event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was really cool. Do you kind of want to give a rundown of where the location was and all that good stuff?
Yeah, we started at Tressler. We had to wait around a little while, which no big deal. It takes a while to set things up in Star Citizen, especially when you're trying to get 20 people together to do an event. But we met up at Tressler. We took 2 separate ships. I think it was about 20 people. Maybe a few, maybe a few less. But anyway, so we go to Icebreaker on Microtech, and one team has an MSR with a Nursa inside, and the other team has a Cutlass Red. And the For Science guys kind of parked one at one end of this barge that's kind of filled with these shipping containers. Mm-hmm. And the MSR was on the other end. And then they took a Pico and put it in each ship. And it was so Capture the Flag. We had a Pico with a snowboard and a Pico without one to tell them apart. And then, however the team wanted to play it, somebody had to go capture the Pico and bring it back to our ship.
Yeah, I love that the flag in Star Citizen is the Pico for a CTF game. But yeah, no, I had a really good time doing that mode. I think I've done 3 of them so far. I had Combat for a Cause, and then there was like an attack and defend mode that we did a few weeks back, and then most recently this past week in the CTF. I think I still like the attack and defend maybe the best of the 3, just as far as like pure like gameplay element. But the CTF was still a ton of fun though, because you had pretty well balanced teams. You had a bunch of people with different play styles, right? So you had some people that were sniping, other people that were trying to sneak their way across, other were kind of running and gunning. But it was really good vibes. Like everybody in the Discord channel seemed to be in a really good mood. Got to meet a couple new friends. Got to play with some people again that I've enjoyed playing with previously. And also, it's just been a really long time since I've played Capture the Flag in any game.
Yeah,
like going back to some of the games I used to play, like a Quick 3 Arena, or even I played a lot of CTF back in the day on Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. CTF was always one of my go-tos on that game as well. And so to do it again after so many years, I think since the last time I played any sort of capture the flag, was just a blast. And also at Icebreaker, one thing that you had to sort of keep in mind as you were trying to figure out how you were going to cross the quote unquote map, to get to the flag was dependent on the wind conditions. The wind is so strong there.
Yeah.
So you had that working against you at times and sometimes working in your favor, right? If the opposing team's having to deal with that strong ass wind coming their way instead, that's slowing them down a lot. And then the other thing too that you had working against you in terms of the weather was just how cold it was.
Yeah. We had some people go back to get Pembroke suits at one point because we were like freezing like halfway through the match before we could even finish it. But yeah, I never put any Pembroke on. I had like just some basic heavy armor on. And then I remember halfway through one of the matches, I was trying to sight down my 4x scope and my dude was just shaking and like I could barely see what I was aiming at. So that was a cool element to have to deal with. The wind was kind of annoying, but the cold was an interesting factor.
Yeah, man. And anytime when my character was getting cold enough, I was running a C54 and an AO3 sniper. And anytime I had that sniper out and my character was freezing, like the scope was just all over the place. Like it was so hard to land shots. It was a very interesting sort of wrench that was thrown into things. I don't think you were like completely successful every round, right? You didn't go down once.
Undefeated, baby.
Yeah. See, I got taken down once. I wasn't full killed because part of the rules before the event started was, try not to full dead somebody, right? Just incapacitate them. And so I got incapped once, but also scored once too, which felt pretty good. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like sneaking onto their ship. And actually when I got across the barge to the enemy team's side, somebody had just left the ship too, and they were gearing back up. And I hesitated. I think I even put in the chat, like, hey, if somebody's still naked, can we engage them? And Bob was like, yeah, kill him. And so I took him out, and I don't know, to me, it's like, okay, well, crap, I just gave my position away, right? So if anybody's reasonably close, they know those shots are coming back from their home ship where their peak is located. And so just darting onto the MSR, grabbing the Pico, trying to weave through containers on the way back. At one point, Ursus meets up with me, and he kind of like takes the lead on getting me all the way back to our Cuddy Red, and he's checking corners left and right, and he's like 5 beers deep or whatever. So I'm like, oh God, is this dude good? But he got me back to safety just fine, and we ended up scoring the touchdown, so to speak. But man, it was just a blast. I love these player events, like, don't get me wrong, like I enjoy when it's working well. I enjoy playing Star Citizen as far as like all the CIG curated stuff, like checking out the distribution centers or doing player bounties or whatever. But there's something just like extra exciting and cool to me about doing the more sandbox events where it's, players are scoping out locations and they're having this idea of like, oh, this would be a really cool spot for a game of capture the flag or team deathmatch or whatever it is. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was the first time I've ever done like a PvP event outside of like bounty hunting or whatever. So I've never like fought other teams of people with the intent of like scoring points or capturing a flag or anything like that. I guess you could count Arena Commander, but in the PU, that's the first time I've ever done anything like that. And it was a lot of fun. Hats off to the For Science guys because, setting it up, getting everybody there, making sure everybody knows the rules. The bugs in Star Citizen, when you start getting 20 plus people together, if it's just you and a buddy, you can usually work through them. But when you got to wait on, oh, that person, they died, so now they got to come back, or that person, oh, their equipment fell through the ground, so now they got to go back and get equipment, or somebody's missing this or somebody's missing that, or there's a lot of stuff to deal with. So, thanks to those guys for dealing with all that and putting on these fun events, because that's got to be a chore at times.
Yeah. And if anybody's looking for like a really cool group of people that's very chill with their sort of interactions with each other and expectations of each other, like it's good vibes in ForScience. So if you're looking for an org, I would definitely recommend ForScience. I officially joined up. I took the 30 seconds to do the application or whatever, and I'm now officially on the roster. So
nice. I might do that at some point when orgs actually matter.
Well, that's why when I didn't know if it was going to matter last Saturday or not, because it was like, okay, one team's going to be for science people and the other was, non for science people, because they invite people from outside the org as well. And I was like, does that include new members? I'd only been part of the org officially for like, 2 or 3 days at that point or whatever. But
I was like, just put me somewhere and tell me who to shoot. I don't care.
Yeah. But so much fun. And definitely check out their YouTube channel too, ForScienceSC on YouTube, because while these events are sort of quote unquote private, invite only or whatever, Bonds, the the org leader that was on episode 25 along with Urs, records them and chops them up and makes YouTube content out of it, and they're a lot of fun to go back and watch. So that Capture the Flag one I don't think is up yet, but I would imagine it would be in the next couple of days, more than likely.
Do we know if they have any community events coming up, like open events?
Not that I'm aware of. I guess maybe the next charity one in September will be a bit more open.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but I don't have all the details on that as of yet. I just know that they're aiming for sometime early September, and that the last charity event they did, which was also the first one they did, was for the Better Friends animal shelter, right?
Yep.
And then this upcoming one is going to be for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So two pretty worthy causes back to back.
Very nice.
But yeah, I know too another sort of event that they do, and I don't know if this will be what the September one is or not. But they'll get 2 Drake caterpillars and just find some random place out in the vacuum of space, and they'll sort of line them up next to each other, and they'll have one team on each caterpillar, and it's like a team deathmatch style of gameplay with the sides of the cats opened up.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Players FPS shooting. Yeah. I definitely want to do one of those next time they run that as well, if I can make it. So yeah, but that was Capture the Flag, brought to us by ForScience. So I don't know, 2 pretty fun play sessions back to back that we had. We did the Capture the Flag first, and then the next day we did a little bit of Xenothreat, about 3 hours. So I've been having fun, continuing to have fun with the current iteration of 3.23. Obviously, there are still problems with the game. I'm still having my weapon randomly throw itself onto the ground after using a med pen and that sort of thing. But so there is fun to be had.
Yeah, I was enjoying it. I've been kind of, I still keep up with the news of Star Citizen every day. Don't get me wrong. I'm reading the Pipeline Discord. I'm on Reddit. I'm reading their news articles they put out. But as far as playing it, I've kind of put it on the back burner until at least 3.24. Outside of, org events or Xenothreat or whatever. But yeah, it was more fun than I anticipated it to be. But yeah, hopefully 3.24 is sooner rather than later, because I'm really looking forward to those cargo changes and the persistent hangars and all that. So maybe that'll breathe some new life into my play sessions.
Yeah, let's say it does make it to Evocati at some point this week. What do you think? Maybe at that point, live servers 2, maybe 3 weeks, maybe mid-July at some point.
Yeah, I could see that.
That would be cool. Although, maybe more realistically, it'll probably, I can give you the exact day it's going to drop.
Yeah.
324 is going to hit on July 27th, the first day of my beach vacation.
Yep.
Of course, it's going to drop when I'm out of town. Of course it will.
Yeah, that'll probably happen.
Mm-hmm. But all the same, hopefully it won't have to cook too long in PTU. I would be thrilled if it made it by mid-July.
Yeah, I don't expect it. I mean, we're about to have the 4th coming up, so I'm sure the LA and Austin office will probably be out for 2 or 3 days that week. So yeah, probably I would imagine end of July.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm interested in getting my hands on those cargo hauling missions. And for a long time I've wanted to haul some cargo, and it's just always been problematic, I guess. Too many horror stories, and it's kind of kept me away. But while I'm not super interested in like the mining or the salvaging side of things, some good old space trucking, I think I can get down with. And
I did that a lot in Elite Dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in Elite, it's very, you fly up to a station, park, pick the mission you want, and then you fly there and click some more buttons once you get there and your stuff is sold. There's no physical cargo. There's no loading and unloading. So I'm interested to see like how much these missions pay out and how long it's going to take to load up the cargo. And is it going to be worth loading up the cargo? And, they're also introducing the missions that aren't just go spend your own money and then go make a profit off of that. They're going to be, here's our cargo, go deliver it, and then we'll pay you. So
right.
It's not going to be, fronting, $500K just to get the cargo and then risking all of that to go make $200K, So I'm definitely going to be more down to be like, oh, this is their cargo, I'm not paying for it. So unless I lose it, I'm, not really losing anything.
Yeah, you can actually be a trucker for hire, instead of taking on all the risk yourself.
Yep.
So yeah, cargo hauling I've wanted to get into for a long time. I mean, if you remember, like years ago, I had both a Freelancer Max in my fleet, and I also had a Caterpillar, the pirate variant or whatever. So I've wanted to do it for a long time. Maybe with 324, it'll finally be time to dive into cargo hauling.
Well, you tell me, you say you want to come move some boxes and sit on a ship and fly back and forth between stations. I'll say, bet. I'm there. Sign me up.
As long as there's some wine involved, I think it'll be a really good time.
Yeah, I know, like, we have a little bit of different gaming preferences. I know you like more combat-oriented stuff. Not that I don't like it, but you like more engaging, fast-paced stuff like that. But I really enjoy games where you can just sit back and chill. Like I've been enjoying PAX Day here lately, just crafting and exploring, and there's very little combat in that game as of now. But so as far as like box moving and just chilling on a ship with your buddies and making some money, that's all I need.
Yeah. And we got a rare Silvius stream out of PAX Day as well.
Oh yeah, for about an hour and a half or so, but I might do some more. It was performing okay, but
yeah,
we'll see how the game is. And I want to start streaming Star Citizen more again, but I just got to have stuff to do. So, I mean, I can only go salvage by myself or run a distribution center so many times.
Right. Fair enough. I think we'll now go into some listener mail if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast this time around, but that's okay.
I mean, there's not a lot going on in Star Citizen world right now. We're kind of in a lull, so it is what it is.
Everybody's waiting on 3.24, and then, further down the road from that 4.0. So.
Yeah, the calm before the storm.
Exactly. I feel like we were just here earlier this year.
Yeah, just 2 more months.
2 more months. All right. So listener mail, these all come from our most recent our most recent CommLink Reacts. We went back deep into the Star Citizen archives back to 2013, and we checked out the little clip of the Terra landing zone that CIG posted way back when. And our first one that I've selected here, we're not going to read through all of them, but a few. It comes from @IlmHCHX3, who said, considering Pyro has been delayed for over 6 years now and is basically an empty system with barren planets and a few criminal outposts/stations, I don't want to be that guy with that joke, but I genuinely think I'll be dead before I see Terra in the game. There's no point even speculating about this right now, as it's not even in the list of systems that are being worked on right now. I'm only 30 years old, by the way. Anyone who thinks Terra will be in game before the next 20 years is delusional or a paid actor.
Get your check yet? You get your check?
I'm still waiting on my check from Chris. I think I really wish this was just like a regular name, but IlmH we'll refer to him as. I think IlmH is maybe being a little too cynical here. I think we'll definitely see Terra within the next 20 years. Also, I hope they make it past 50, right? If they're only 30 now, and I'm saying they'll think they'll genuinely be dead before seeing Terra in game. I don't know. I really think, assuming Pyro makes it into the game this year, I think Terra is only a year or 2 after that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like talking not spoilers, but leaks here too often. But you remember that little 1.0 docket we got a few months ago, and from what rumors that have been circulating around since then, Star Citizen 1.0, they've talked about it in the letter from the chairman. He dropped the 1.0. So it's being talked about, and it lines up with what was in that leaked document, that there's most likely going to be 5 systems when 1.0 happens. And what are those 5 systems going to be? Stanton, Pyro, Magnus, Odin, Terra. That's probably going to be it. Maybe not Odin. That one might be switched out with Nyx. Could be Nyx instead. But if they're going to launch with 5 systems, and we got to think they're probably pushing towards this low, medium, high sec system archetype, whatever they're wanting to aim for. And we already have Stanton. That's kind of like you can consider it high sec right now, but it's actually more of like a mid sec. Yeah. And Pyro's going to be low, so that's pirate territory. And then we're going to have a safe place for people that don't want to deal with PvP and all of that. So we're going to have a high sec system, and the most likely one for that is Terra. There's a jump point to it from Stanton.
In game right now.
Yeah, we've seen this footage from 10 years ago. They were already thinking about it 10 years ago. So, like you said, I think if we see Pyro in this year, a year, maybe 2 years max, I think we're going to see Terra. It might not have all the landing zones. It might roll out like Stanton did, like here it is, like we're going to add other planets and landing zones later, something like that. Who knows? But right. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be 20 years. And I'm a realist with this game. I don't try and huff the copium. I try and keep my expectations low, but I don't see any reason that it would take 20 years to get it out. I think that's being a little over cynical, but I do see their frustration with how fast stuff is rolling out. But yeah, I think we see it within the next 5.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm maybe a little bit more optimistic by saying within the next year or two, but again, that's assuming that everything goes well with Pyro, right? But if 4.0 does come out, if server meshing's working relatively well, I feel like there's got to be some behind the scenes work going on that they're not really talking about with other systems right now.
Well, they have like over 1,000 developers, right?
What are they all doing? Like, they're
Yeah.
not all on the ships team. They're not all on the FPS team. They're not all the engineers working on server meshing, you know?
Plus, we have to have some systems for Squadron, like Odin. That's part of Squadron. So maybe that's something they release after Squadron, but I'm sure they're sitting on at least one or two more systems nearing completion right now.
Yeah. And they're just not showing us right now, which is fine and understandable. But, you know, 1,000 people is a lot of people. And I'm sure some of them are like working on payroll and on the marketing team and HR and whatever. But still, there's a ton of devs, a ton of engineers, right? A ton of programmers. I've got to imagine there's quite a few out of that 1,000 working on different systems right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At least I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
We hope. This is all speculation, but yeah.
Yeah.
All the signs point to, you know, stuff being worked on in the background. And, you know, I would even, you know, really optimistic outlook, I could say we get Nyx early next year if Pyro goes well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I feel like the biggest hurdle is going to be getting the first additional system in. And then after that, hopefully that sort of opens the floodgates, so to speak, and makes adding additional systems easier for CIG and then also more expedient as well. So, but anyway, next up we've got at Star Citizen Speakeasy, who said, "I love these look backs," smiley face. "To get a better idea of Terra, check out the concept art. You should react to Wingman's Hangar. We will be getting Pyro, then Squadron 42, which comes out with a few systems. After Squadron 42, they will be added into Star Citizen's PTU." So, yeah, number one, we are planning on doing more reacts, including Wingman's Hangar. That's something that we've been talking about a lot. And there's quite a few episodes to go through, and there's some really interesting conversation that happens on Wingman's Hangar that sort of like when we went back and we took a look at all the Kickstarter stretch goals. I think it's going to be similar conversation happening when we go back and check out these older Wingman Hangars. Like, hey, whatever happened to that idea? You know?
Yeah.
It's been a long time since somebody's mentioned anything about this. But anyway, yeah, so Wingman Hangar reacts are going to be on the way. And then again, you know, with Star Citizen Speakeasy bringing up that Squadron 42 itself is going to have a few systems. Again, I know they can't just literally copy and paste from Squadron 42 over to the PU, but still that tells me that a huge amount of the work has already been done from Squadron. And then whatever coding needs to happen for it to successfully be transplanted from Squadron 42 to Star Citizen, you know, that shouldn't take nearly as long as how long it's taken Pyro to get into the PU.
Yeah, like if all the assets and artwork and lighting and all that stuff is done for the system, then all they got to do is move it to the PU and add missions. I feel like that would probably be the biggest hurdle, would be adding missions to it for people to participate in outside of Squadron.
Yeah, fleshing out the actual content found in the location.
Yeah.
Right on. Anything else you would like to add?
No, I enjoy looking back at those old things, and I appreciate that people enjoy watching us look at those old things. So yeah, we're gonna keep doing them.
Yeah, a lot of fun. More reacts on the way, more podcasting goodness on the way, and some CommLink alerts. We're gonna get caught up on those shortly as well. So I guess I'm gonna start to go into my shilling.
Yeah.
You ready?
Go for
it. So the CommLink Podcast can be found on YouTube and Spotify. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. In addition to the podcast, be sure to also check out our Star Citizen Squadron 42 reaction videos on our YouTube channel. You can follow CommLink on Twitter and Instagram. The username for both platforms is @CommLinkPod. We're currently running a giveaway for an Ursa medevac, aka the Nursa, with lifetime insurance. So check out the link in this episode's description for all the details on that. You can also find it over on our Twitter page as well. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, as always, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more if you haven't done so already. That's really going to help us out with algorithm stuff with the liking part. And when you subscribe, you get a little notification letting you know, hey, next podcast is ready for you to enjoy. Until next time, thank you for tuning in, everyone. Stay safe and be well.
I'm finally glad we got rid of that damn Rambler.
It's gone. It's out the door.
Congrats to the winner. And keep an eye out for that Nursa giveaway because it's on a Gleam. And make sure to get in there. There's multiple ways to get in.
5 ways.
We're excited to give that one away too. So thanks Stubb. Thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Ciao, ciao.